Hi everyone, welcome to Cinema Dilemma, where we talk about what to watch and what not to watch. Today we're talking about the new series released by Netflix called Bridgerton. This series is based on Julia Quinn's book series of the same name. So there are 8 books in that series, and it follows the story of a family with 8 kids. So the story is there is Violet, the mother. There was Edmund, who unfortunately passed away about 20 years before the start of the series. And the kids are named from A to H alphabetically according to their age. The first book, which is Duke and I, on which this series, season 1, is based on, is the story of Bridgerton daughter Daphne. So Daphne Bridgerton is in the market for a husband, and she's looking for a love match because that's what her parents had, and she really wants to get married. That is her life goal in life. She wants to get married, and she's presented to the queen, who names her incomparable of the season. So she is supposed to be all that. She's supposed to get all the attention, but it turns out that she does not get as many offers as she's supposed to. The only man who seems to be interested in her is Nigel Burbrook, and is not interested in him, and the reasons for that are not specified in the series. In comes Simon Basset, or the Duke of Hastings, who is also a good friend of Daphne's elder brother Anthony. They meet at a ball and they run into each other. It was the typical rom-com meet cute. And they forge a sort of friendship, pseudo friendship between each other. Now, Simon does not want to get married. He does not want to have kids, and he is very vocal about his opinion. Whereas Daphne is very desperate to get married. So they hatch a plan together in which they decide to have a fake relationship so that when other men know about a duke's interest in Daphne, they would also be intrigued about her, like what is so great about her that a duke is interested. And for Simon, since it will be known that he is courting someone else, so all the other matchmaking mamas will not hound him as much as they do. So that was their plan. As in any good romantic story, all to good intentions is paved through hell. So this entire plan that they had goes and they had to get married because to prevent a scandal and Daphne's virtue, etc. This series is based in early 1800s, where society was very different. It was very women were very repressed, and they did not have they're not supposed to have any ambition or any career goals, and they were supposed to just their whole success in life is to get a good husband. And a married life was not about companionship or any love or any emotion. It was more of a marriage of convenience where two people who are, even if good friends, it's supposed to be a successful marriage. So Simon and Daphne had to get married to prevent a scandal. Otherwise, Daphne would have been ruined, and she would not have uh, gotten married to anyone. Simon married Daphne while being very clear that he does not want kids. So the rest of the story follows their married life, how they are settling together, whether what problems they are having. Because we know that they were good friends to begin with, so there was a good platform in the beginning. They did not have to start from scratch. At the same time, we know Daphne wanted to have kids, and she's not able to have because she knew Simon does not want them. Along with these two characters, we also have a slew of supporting cast because Daphne has a huge family, and there are also other people associated with the family. Like we have the Featheringtons with 3 daughters, also on the marriage mart, and we have Lady Danbury, who is an old matriarch of the society. She's amazing. Actually, her character is amazing. In addition to these main characters, we have Julie Andrews, who is the narrator of the story. So, in the original storyline written by Julia Quinn, we have this character called as Lady Whistledown, who writes scandal sheets. So, these scandal sheets are everything. They are the main source of information on the gossip which is going on in the society. And she has a very satiric and dark humor when it comes to commenting on how the society is working. And that voiceover is played by Julie Andrews. The second part of this video, which is about the analysis of the series is bad. Like, it's bad. It's bad. I, it's bad. The, I don't know where to begin. Okay, maybe that's because I'm not a romantic. Maybe I'm throwing a disclaimer out there that if you are looking at this video and listening to this analysis, just keep that in mind that I'm not a romantic and this is coming from my own opinion. The whole character building which is required in any good visual content or even in any good story, that is lacking. We see Daphne as being very shallow, without any strength of character at all, except this one instance where she had to ride a horse in early morning. It's just one instance in about close to 8 hours of content. It did not really lend any credibility to her character because till that time we did not see Daphne with any kind of backbone. She is proposed by Nigel Berber and she does not want to get married to him. And the series does not say why. The only, as a viewer, the only excuse or the only reason I understood for her to reject Nigel's suit was because she's shallow and Nigel is not that good looking. And I mean, it's very difficult to empathize with shallow characters. There needs to be some redeemable quality, right? That kind of lacking. Also, in the whole series, the timeline is messed up. In the first episode, we see that Penelope Featherington is asking her mother to delay her coming out by a year, as Lady Bridgerton has done for Eloise, and Penelope and Eloise are best friends. So that means that Eloise and Daphne are supposed to come out together at the same time in society. Even though, since their names are separated by one more character, they have to be at least 1.5 years different in age. That kind of did not ring true to me. Speaking of Eloise, she is in this character feministic. She wants to know why she can't study. She wants to know why marriage is the only ultimate goal left for a woman to live her life. And all valid questions, there is no doubt about it. My point is that the series tried very hard to harp on about that fact that they are trying to rewrite history. They are trying to reimagine whatever happened in 1800s. While it's a very noble thought, it is a question that we ask ourselves why state of affairs were the way they were in those times. But at the same time, what's done is done. We can only learn from it. We can't undo it. We can't will it away. And if you want to rewrite history, then probably Bridgerton is not a series to do it with, because the whole content which you're taking it from the Julia Quinn's novels, it's a light read. It's a romantic comedy, quick-witted light read. Only when the visual adaptation is bad, we hear that the book was better, and we do not hear the same comparison when it comes to Lord of the Rings movies or even P.S. I Love You, same genre, romance. We don't hear that because the movie adaptation is so much better than the book that there is no comparison. If not better, then at least equal. But in this case, the series falls short. It is not as good as the book. The book actually has a good character for Daphne. She is shown as someone who is always friends with people. So she's always friend zoned. A concept which we can understand very well in this century. She's friend zoned by everyone, and she does not like Nigel Berbrook because she does not have anything against his looks. It's just that he is shown to be a little dim-witted than what Daphne prefers, or what she is. So there is no connection of her with him, and she has been shown to be very kind to him. There is a definite character arc. All the Bridgerton siblings are shown to have their own special characteristics. Anthony, being the head of the family and plagued by the early death of his father, is trying to protect and do the best that he can for his siblings while living his own life. Violet Bridgerton, being the matriarch, she is a very powerful character. She wants the best for the kids, but she's also torn between being a mother and what is right by society. Colin is a happy-go-lucky person who is always in a jolly mood, no one has ever seen him angry, etc. So it goes like that. In the video adaptation, you can't feel any character difference between any of the Bridgerton siblings except Eloise and the rest of the world. Like I said, Eloise is supposed to be a feminist, and yes, valid, but falls forced, in my opinion. Coming to the special comments in this section of the video, this is going to be a very controversial point. This series was lauded for being very diverse when it comes to casting, but there is a difference between colorblind and color conscious casting. They have done a color conscious casting. While yes, they have tried to incorporate a lot of people of color in roles which are not very, if not the most prominent, but prominent enough. At the same time, they have that casting decision was clearly just a tick mark because only people of color are the ones who have been casted. We have so many other people of other ethnicities who need representation. I remember there's this one scene where there is an Asian character at a ball, and to show that yes, they have casted an Asian in the whole series, there is special significance when the camera pans over her. It stops at her face for like a microsecond, and then it pans out. They are trying so hard to be PC. I mean, either you are PC or you are not. If you're trying too hard, it means you're not. So might as well not try, I guess. I mean, because this is making a mockery of the whole issue which people face. Yeah, so that was my thoughts on the series on Netflix. I know I've not given it a very good review, but other people have liked it. It has been renewed for a second season, so I'm assuming that it did well enough to be renewed. So yeah, just check it out. Let me know what you think. If you agree, you disagree. If you disagree, all the more welcome to have your perspective down in the comments below. Maybe I'll learn something new. Also, please let me know what you're curious about, whether you want to watch something or not. I'll watch it for you and let you know whether it is worth your time or not. So that's it from my side for this video. See you next time.